With the events of this past week, many students across the country are staging walkouts to demand that something be done about gun control in America. As the governor of an open carry state, what will you do about gun violence in Texas to prevent tragedies like the school shooting in Florida? And we'll start with Mr. Osaguda for 45 seconds.
Yeah, my website has a position that I answered for the Dallas Morning News where it said I tabled this issue for my first term. I'm not comfortable with that position, but it's a position that I took because legislatively I know that anything that we want changed has to happen legislatively. My hope is that our legislature has changed with current events, but we haven't seen that evidence come from the Republican Party in years. The other thing that I will say is I think what we tend to do on this side is we'll say that the policy we want to take is universal background checks. And one of my reasons for tabling this issue is because I actually think our policy has to be much stronger than just simply expanding universal background checks, which is the position or a position of expanding, which is what our governor just already said agreed to today. I think we have to go after assault weapons and any ancillary accessories that contribute to modifying a weapon to make it a weapon of that nature. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Osaguda. Mr. White, you have the next response.
Emma Gonzalez, one of the survivors from Douglas High School, spoke. It was the most amazing 15 minutes I think I've heard in a long time. Boy, if my daughter would be like that, wouldn't that be something? So in her words, I'll use her words because I don't have a whole lot of time. I call BS. I call BS. She said that over and over again. And that's the reality. We got to call BS. Our leaders aren't representing us. Universal background checks is the first and most simple solution we can do right now today. We've also got to get guns out of domestic abusers' hands, and we've got to put no notoriety laws on the books because I don't want to see their faces. I don't want to hear their names. Right? If you want to find that out, you can go to the courthouse and find it out. But we don't need to glorify these people doing these dirty events. So,
thank you, Mr. Payne.
Universal background checks for all. That's the first step. We also need to outlaw any type of military-style weapon and any accessory that makes a gun a military-style weapon. We actually need education on how to use guns. We also need to, anytime a private sale happens, it must be registered with the state as well. There are people out there. If I sold a gun to Cedric, and I know Cedric, so we're good, but let's say I didn't know him. I sign a piece of paper, he signs it, we notarize it, and guess where that piece of paper goes? Absolutely nowhere. It needs to go to the state. I don't know if he's, that's the record. I don't know if he is part of a domestic issue, violence issue. I don't know if he's part of a sexual assault issue. I don't know anything about him. And if someone starts stockpiling over 30 days, 50 or 60 guns, don't you think we should kind of know about it? It's just common sense. Can we just use some common sense when it comes to firearm control? Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Davis.
Yes. As a former police chief, I believe my experience to deal with this issue is definitely valuable. First of all, as your governor, I would like to have legislation crafted so that we can ban assault weapons in Texas and we can ban bump stops in Texas. Second of all, we need to expand the time in which they do universal background checks. As a cop, it took me about 120 days to go through a thorough background check. We turn around and let someone have a gun within 72 hours. Third of all, we need to collaborate with law enforcement. We need to have one line of communication because law enforcement does not communicate with each other. So we need to start communicating and sharing that information. That's what happened to the FBI here. The information got caught up, but it didn't get to the person that it should have. Second of all, we need to have training for our teachers to recognize when a child is in trouble so they can get them to the counselors, so those counselors can get the necessary mental health care that they need, and authorities need to be alerted that there is a potential problem.